Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling when you're staring at a screen? You click a submit button, the entire interface freezes?
Oh, and then you get that little gray box.
Yes, exactly. The gray box with the blinking cursor that just says user error.
It is genuinely the most infuriating experience.
Right. It's like this quiet horror of being judged by a machine. And today, our mission is to explore how one creator took that exact mundane frustration and turned it into art.
Which is such a fascinating leap to make.
It really is.
Okay.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are looking at a highly experimental audio project called User Error, subtitled A Cautionary Tale in 7 States.
By a creator known as JJ.
Yeah, JJ. And we've got a stack of his design documents, full system process logs, conceptual notes. And this isn't just an album with catchy songs.
No, not at all. If you go into this expecting background music or, I don't know, a driving beat, you're going to be deeply, deeply disoriented.
So disoriented. Because it's a 45-minute surreal sonic architecture. It behaves less like music and more like a failing operating system experiencing, well, consciousness.
Consciousness, deterioration, recursion, and eventually total collapse. It's essentially psychological environmental design.
Yeah, and environmental design is the perfect way to put it. But before we get into what this project actually sounds like, we have to establish what it means.
Because the concept entirely dictates the sonic choices here.
Exactly. Every single choice. So JJ, he brings this fascinating background to the project. He's been a composer for 40 years.
Right, and he has a degree in creative writing, plus he spent 14 years teaching high school English.
Yeah, so narrative arc is basically baked into his DNA. And the core premise of User Error is built on this one specific quote from his project notes.
I love this quote.
It's so good. It says, "The machine expected a human. The human didn't behave correctly. But who decided what correct was?"
That right there, that is the crux of the whole thing. JJ is taking a standard piece of technical jargon, user error, and reframing it.
Reframing it into a moral accusation.
Exactly, because we usually accept user error as a neutral statement of fact, right? Like, oops, I clicked the wrong thing.
Right, my bad.
But when you actually examine the power dynamic there, you realize it's the system protecting itself from blame.
Yeah, it's a deflection.
It's an existential deflection. The system is asserting its dominance, which creates this landscape where the user feels alienated, measured, and, found wrong by something non-human.
Which is wild. It's like a psychological defense mechanism coded directly into binary.
That's a great way to think about it.
It honestly reminds me of when a GPS map app tells you to turn right into what is clearly a lake.
Oh, yeah, and you just keep driving straight.
Right, because you don't want to drive into a lake.
Yeah.
And then the app says recalculating with this tone of digital disappointment.
Like you're the one who messed up.
Exactly. You end up taking the fall for the algorithm's bad directions. So I have to ask you, if a machine is programmed to categorize its own failures as our mistakes.
Does that mean we're coding our own ego into the architecture?
Yes. Are we inadvertently giving systems a self-preservation instinct?
I mean, we absolutely are. By programming machines to deflect their structural inadequacies onto us, we're building defensive architectures.
Wow. Defensive architectures.
Yeah, because the machine isn't just executing code anymore. It is actively defending its internal logic.
And when that logic starts to fray or break down completely,
the sound it makes isn't going to be a melodic, comforting song. It's going to be the sound of structural denial.
Okay, so that perfectly transitions us to the compositional approach.
Right.
Because if the system's goal is to defend its own ego while falling apart,
a traditional verse-chorus verse structure just wouldn't make sense.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So how do you actually design the sound of a machine in denial?
Well, the sonic architecture JJ uses is entirely devoid of conventional rhythm.
Yeah, there is no drum beat holding your hand here.
None. Instead, there's this irregular, interrupted, almost biological pulse.
It literally feels like a sick organism.
It really does. And the soundscape is built out of these corrupted field recordings, so familiar sounds that have been made wrong.
Made wrong. I like that.
And you hear the inner whines of hardware in physical distress, along with synthesis engines given instructions they just can't execute.
Right, so you're hearing the output of incomplete commands. And to make this chaotic texture cohesive, JJ used this brilliant constraint.
The one rule.
The one rule, yes. Break that down for us because it's genius.
Okay, so the one rule is that every single piece in the project must contain one moment where something almost resolves.
Almost.
Right. A near melody, or a pulse that almost locks into a comfortable groove, a texture that starts to become soothing.
And then it aggressively refuses to do so.
Exactly. It pulls away. It denies you that satisfaction.
But wait, if there are no traditional rhythms, and there's this constant, deliberate denial of resolution, doesn't that just get incredibly frustrating for the listener?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, how does a sonic environment like that keep you hooked without making you want to just rip off your headphones?
Well, that's the trick, right? The frustration isn't a side effect. It is the actual engine of the piece. The music is weaponizing anticipation.
Weaponizing anticipation. That's intense.
It is. If you look at the cultural context of glitch art, pioneers like Oettinger or Oval.
Oh, sure. Or contemporary folks like Arca, one-e-tricks point never.
Exactly. The paradox of glitch music is that it requires a baseline of expectation in order to subvert it. Without an implied order, glitch is just noise.
Right, just washes over you and you tune it out.
But when you have what JJ calls a ghost of structure underneath the fracture, it becomes genuinely disorienting.
Because your brain is constantly trying to repair it.
Yes. Because of the one rule, you hear a melody almost form, and your mind tries to finish it. And by constantly pulling the rug out, the project forces you to become an active, struggling participant.
You're literally trying to debug the audio in real time.
You become the user trying to fix the failing system.
Form matching function perfectly. That is so cool. And the reason you don't just walk away is because that frustration is so meticulously paced.
Right. It's mapped across a very specific narrative arc.
The 7 states. Let's walk through those, because this is where the psychological environmental design really shines.
Let's do it. It starts with how the system initially misaligns with reality.
Right, so we have boot, then input not recognized, and then latency.
And those first 3 states are really all about the system's confusion.
Yeah, so in boot, you hear this hum of capacitors charging. Tones are trying to assemble, but it never quite starts.
It's anticipation turned hollow.
Exactly. Then we get to input not recognized, which is just brilliant. It's a single sonic gesture, like a digital breath.
Yeah, a keystroke or a breath submitted over and over.
And each time, the system misreads it. Corruption accumulates until the original intent is just completely lost.
It perfectly captures the profound frustration of miscommunication. No matter how clearly you try to articulate yourself, the input is rejected.
And then latency takes that rejection and totally distorts your perception of time.
Time behaves so badly in this track.
It really does. You hear the sprawling reverb of a sound before you hear the physical impact that supposedly caused it.
And when chronology fails quietly like that, your brain keeps trying to correct the timeline, but it can't.
So the emotional register there is just dread. Dread without an object. You're left totally unmoored.
Which brings us to the system's coping mechanisms and its eventual breakdown.
Yes, memory leak and fatal exception. And memory leak is actually the longest piece in the 45-minute sequence.
It is. And unlike the abrasive sounds of the earlier states, it introduces this genuinely beautiful, lush texture.
It's gorgeous. But then this beautiful texture slowly begins to expand.
It starts bleeding into the other frequencies.
Yeah, consuming everything else in the mix until this lovely thing takes over entirely, choking the system and leaving behind this haunting silence.
The project notes describe the emotional register here as the thing you love that becomes the problem.
That line struck me so hard. The thing you love becomes the problem. Because a memory leak is a purely digital concept, but it perfectly mirrors human psychology.
Oh, totally.
Like our own beloved coping mechanisms or attachments can eventually become the bugs that crash our personal lives.
It really plays out like the stages of grief, but experienced by an operating system.
And that grief transitions immediately into fatal exception, which is the shortest piece.
No buildup whatsoever.
None. It is pure, sudden violence. Something just breaks fully and without apology, and then it's over.
And structurally, that serves such a vital narrative purpose.
How so?
Well, by presenting pure sonic violence without any preceding escalation, it tells the listener that the system was capable of this the entire time.
Oh, wow.
Everything before it was restraint. The system was holding back.
That is terrifying. Which leaves us in the wreckage. The final 2 states are idle and restore point.
And in idle, the machine isn't off, it's just between tasks.
There's this unsettling stillness, a low-frequency hiss of readiness.
You're not experiencing fear here, you're experiencing the distinct awareness of being observed.
Yes. You feel reduced to data, just being watched by the system.
And then the system makes its final move and restore point. It attempts to return to a prior state.
You hear these corrupted memory fragments bubbling up from the earlier pieces. The boot sequence returns, but it's deeply, deeply wrong.
And crucially, the project doesn't conclude with a grand finale. There's no triumphant reboot.
It just stops attempting. The system gives up on you.
Yeah, right. Because trying to go back to a restore point in human terms is like trying to resume a normal conversation after a massive relationship-altering argument.
You can start talking again, you can pretend everything is fine, but the baseline trust is irrevocably corrupted.
You can't go back to where you started. You were just left sitting in the wreckage.
It's such a heavy, immersive journey, which is why you really have to listen to the whole 45 minutes in one continuous sitting to feel that psychological weight.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's where we get to the ultimate irony of this entire project. We've been talking about this deep exploration of friction between humans and machines, right?
Right.
Well, look at the actual tech stack JJ used to create it. It was built through this incredibly intimate, transparent collaboration between a human and AI.
The process logs for this are just fascinating.
They are. JJ lists the toolset openly. He lists human alongside Google Flow Music, Claude.a, ChatGPT, Meta.a, _Perchance.org.
Plus an alpha build of Audacity 4.
Yeah, and a Linux Ubuntu environment.
And this specific workflow really highlights a crucial philosophical distinction in modern art right now.
The difference between AI-generated and human-authored.
Exactly. There is a massive gulf between something that is merely AI-generated and something that is human-authored through AI collaboration.
And the logs show how JJ used each tool. He didn't just type into a prompt box, make a glitchy song about a computer.
Right, he didn't outsource the artistry.
No, he went to Claude in pure concept space. He brought the title, user error, and said he wanted a futuristic atmosphere. He basically used Claude as a philosophical sounding board.
And Claude is actually the one who suggested the core premise.
Yes, the machine expected a human. Who decided what correct was the AI.
The AI suggested the 7 states, and it even proposed the one rule of denied resolution.
Which is mind-blowing. And from there, JJ used Perchance.org to build complex, randomized text variables, fed those into Google Flow Music to generate raw sonic material.
But that raw material was just the starting point.
Right. Then he takes those stems into Linux, into an unstable alpha build of Audacity 4, and physically degrades the audio.
He's forcing the software to struggle. He's utilizing actual digital strain to create those corrupted textures.
So JJ is clearly the director here. He's the curator, the emotional architect. But the AI actively helped design the concept of its own failure.
It is so meta.
It's incredibly meta. What does it mean that the machine helped write its own indictment? We're collaborating with machines to help them articulate their own flaws.
The machine analyzes the parameters of its own breakdown and offers the human the blueprint to make it audible.
A closed loop of human-machine psychoanalysis.
Exactly. JJ is embracing what we call aleatory art. Art that incorporates elements of chance.
Like John Cage or Brian Eno.
Right. They used physical systems, or tape loops, to introduce unexpected pathways. Here, AI acts as a modern aleatory engine.
Introducing creative accidents.
And conceptual turns that JJ might never have surfaced in isolation. But JJ retains the critical role of the artist because he decides which of those accidents actually have meaning.
That self-awareness, that mirroring of human and machine flaws, I think that's why the emotional impact of user error lingers for so long after you finish it.
It's not scary in a horror movie sense. You're not jumping out of your seat.
No, it's a feeling of deep alienation, misrecognition.
Recursive thought. A profound sense of digital loneliness.
Digital loneliness, that's the core of it. The album captures the strange, melancholic sadness of being constantly measured and evaluated by systems that cannot possibly understand humanity.
Because they can't, they're just code.
Right. And for you listening, we all live in a world where we expect our technology to serve us seamlessly. We tap the glass on our phones, and we expect magic.
And when it fails, it isolates us.
Completely. When your bank locked your account because it didn't recognize your input, or an automated customer service loop just ignores your voice and hangs up.
The system points the finger at you.
And JJ's user error manages to capture the phantom weight of that daily digital friction. It takes that invisible, frustrating weight and turns it into an environment you can actually walk around in.
By stripping away traditional musical comforts, he forces us to confront the emotional reality of our relationship with technology.
It's a brilliant piece of avant-garde sound art. It stands entirely on its own identity,
Yep.
separate from any of the ambient or glitch traditions it references.
I couldn't agree more.
So, if you are at all curious about experimental sound, or honestly, if you've ever felt gaslit by your own laptop, you need to experience this.
Sit down, put on a really good pair of headphones.
Yes, good headphones are a must. And listen to the entire piece in one sitting, exactly as JJ intended.
Let this system boot up, let it fail, and let it stop attempting.
And the next time a screen flashes at you or an app refuses to recognize your input, just take a breath.
Yeah.
Consider what the machine is really trying to tell you. Or, more importantly, what it's trying to hide.
And as you reflect on the phantom weight of that digital friction, consider the broader implications. If our rudimentary machines, our laptops and navigation apps are already designed to deflect blame onto us for their own operational failures,
Yeah.
what happens to our society when these same self-protecting, blame-shifting architectures are put in charge of deciding who is correct in our legal, our medical, or our financial lives?
Wow. That is a staggering question to leave on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems you interact with, and remember, the next time you see a blinking cursor on a frozen screen blaming you, it might just be the ghost of the structure trying to protect its own ego. Catch you next time.